I'm your host, Casey Phoenix. Today is Wednesday. It's morning in America and morning in Los Angeles. And welcome to my political thought, which is the supplement to the Purple Elephant Show. Strangely, I woke up this morning and my mind has been more clear than it has ever been. So I gave thanks then, and I'm giving thanks now. When you can wake up with a clear mind, I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life, but whether you believe in God, the universe, or whatever, give thanks because you could have woke up like Joe Biden. And that's not being shady. That's being honest. So when you wake up with a clear mind, be sure to give thanks. Now, with my political thought, I'll get straight to the point. President Trump's second term agenda, there is a possibility that he may be impeached and removed. I'm sure those who are listening to this or watching this know what part of his second term agenda I'm talking about. And it is term limits. We all want term limits on Congress. We all do. And he's looking to work with Congress to push it. People have said in Congress, we need term limits, but that is lip service. Congress will not relinquish its power. It's not going to happen. And I really believe that if President Trump does a huge push for term limits, then if he still has a Democratic Congress with the House, he will more than likely be impeached and removed. With the Senate, because for those who don't know how impeachment works, first, even though he's already been impeached over some nonsense, it goes to the House first. The House votes on it, then it goes to the Senate. With the Senate, senators are in their seat for 6 years minimum. So a senator who decides to vote against the president, they may not be up for re-election for 2, 4, or 6 years, depending on when something happens. They don't have anything to really keep them on the president's side. And some people can say, oh, well, we can vote out those senators when their term is up. Time passes and people forget things. And I promise you, if he makes a big deal out of term limits just in general, whether it's within the executive branch or in government, period, I can honestly see if he's stuck with the Democratic House, him getting impeached, and then Republican senators are like, well, the evidence, it was too overwhelming. We really wanted to side with the president, but we just couldn't. We had to vote against it. We like President Trump as a person, but the evidence, it was just too overwhelming. Where it's something similar to what he was impeached for previously. So I honestly see that happening. I want President Trump to stay in office his second term because of China. China is the biggest deal for me. If there wasn't any reason to vote for President Trump, the riots and the looting and the protesting and all that stuff, if you want to call it protesting, by now I think we can call it riots and looting. That stuff, it irritates me, and it is disturbing to see how people just burn things down and tear things up and go into, suburban areas and scream at strangers and all that stuff. It's disturbing to me, but more disturbing is China. China is the most disturbing thing to me. China is my number one right now. In my eyes, China is the largest threat. The rest of the stuff with the looters and the rioters and the protesters, that can be squashed in due time. The only reason it hasn't been squashed yet is because the governors have not given the okay for the National Guard to come in. President Trump has constantly offered all of these governors and mayors of all these states to say, hey, we can help you out. We can do this for you. We can do that for you. We can provide you with equipment, whatever you need. We will help you, quell these looters and rioters. We will help you. And all the mayors and the governors are like, no, we don't want your help. Just like Mayor Lightfoot of Chicago. No, we're fine. We're going to handle it. And Chicago has been torn to shreds downtown. Businesses have been torn to shreds. Same thing in Kenosha now. Stuff is being burned and rioters happening there. Riots have been going on in Portland for over 2 months, which I don't know how people have that much time on their hands. It amazes me how I know that most of the country has been in lockdown. I get that. But some people are still working. I'm still working. Other people are still working. And even if you're not working, wouldn't you want to do something more productive, like find a job and find someone who's hiring where you can work from home instead of being out looting and rioting and doing all this other stuff and destroying businesses that people took their time to build? So yes, it disturbs me. Yes, it's irritating, but it's not my number one. It may be number one to some people who live in the suburbs or those who live in cities. That may be their number one reason where they're like, hey, I can't take this anymore. The Democrats aren't helping me. I'm voting for Trump. But for me, I feel the number one threat is China because China has its tentacles in everything. Also, the other thing about China is that China buys people off. Even though their currency is going through some issues right now. You can look that up. Because I found that out watching WION is World is One News, which is an East Indian network, but they do their shows in English, and they're amazing. And they're always holding China's feet to the fire. And obviously they will be a little bit biased because China and India aren't really getting along right now. Because India, like other countries surrounding China, India is one of the 21 countries. China is saying directly or indirectly, you owe us land. So China is just an issue. But internally within the United States, because China has money to buy people off, and because people are for sale, sadly. I wish people weren't for sale in the United States. I wish that people would put patriotism above capitalism. And if everyone knows, if you've listened to the Purple Elephant Show, if you listen to my episodes, you know I'm a card-carrying capitalist. I'm all about capitalism, but I'm also about balance. And there has to be a limit. Patriotism has to come before capitalism. And when you have people within our government, and not necessarily within our government, but within the country, period, that are willing to be bought off and to side with a communist regime that has concentration camps going on. It amazes me how some people on the left, they talk about social justice and social issues and racism and all this stuff. But China has over 1 million people in concentration camps right now. And they're harvesting organs and cutting the hair and selling the hair and doing other things. And then the things that are happening with Hong Kong too. And then it's crickets on that. But when it comes to United States stuff, everybody wants to have a different type of energy. Rah, 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 social justice, equal rights, all of this and all of that. But when China does something, those same people, whether they're in the NBA or NFL or whatever, it's all crickets. And I don't understand it. Well, I do understand it. Part of it is because people are misinformed. And they don't know about the organ harvesting, or either they don't know about the concentration camps. The other part of it is what I said earlier. They're for sale. And that's what worries me. China can continue to buy people outside of the government and inside of the government. Don't be fooled. People inside of the government are for sale. I hate to go back to Joe Biden, but that is an example. His son was bought over $1 billion to manage an investment fund. The fees off of that is millions and millions and millions of dollars. So how would he be motivated to hold China accountable? That's why I said China for me is number one. And I feel President Trump is the only one who will get the United States what it deserves. Retribution for what happened. Don't let anyone fool you. This whole thing that's happened to the world, it was a setup. And most of it could have been prevented. And I know President Trump is livid. He is just keeping his cool right now. He's doing a few things here and there with the ban on TikTok and other little things. And China's trying to get on his good side by buying lots of corn and lots of soybeans. But I can tell you right now, President Trump is one of those type of people. Once he's done with you, he's usually done with you. That's his demeanor. And China can buy all the soybeans and all the corn in the world. It will not change his attitude with the plans he has for China and the retribution he has for China. And I feel he is the only one that can do it. All of these other people who talk about China, I don't care who they are, whether it's Tom Cotton, Marco Rubio, or whoever, it's just going to be lip service. Because when they get into office, it'll just be, oh, well, we tried to do this and it didn't work and da-da-da. This is why we ended up with President Trump. This is why we got President Trump. Because people will say things, but then they don't execute on what they say. So, and I feel President Trump is the only one who can execute on it. However, with the term limits, whether it is pushing for term limits within the executive branch or pushing for, and by executive branch meaning certain employees should possibly leave by certain times, are pushing for term limits within Congress and asking Congress, hey, you guys need to, after a certain amount of terms, you need to bow out. And that's what I feel. Honestly, the presidency is the only branch, or should I say the presidency, not necessarily the executive branch, because within the executive branch, people stay buried for decades, which is why he has some of the issues he has. But the position of the president of the United States, that position is the only one that has term limits. The Supreme Court is a lifetime appointment. Congress, as long as you can get reelected, you can stay there until you die. If you stay for 10 years, if you stay for 20 years, if you stay for 30, if you stay for 40, you can stay. And I feel in the House, they should be set to 5 terms. After 5 terms, get out. That's 10 years. 10 years is enough. If you can't get done what you need to get done in 10 years, you shouldn't have been there in the first place. Same thing with the Senate. After 2 terms, get out. That's 12 years. If you can't get done what you need to get done in 12 years, you shouldn't have been there in the first place. And that's what I feel on the term limits part. But if there is a push for term limits on Congress's side, saying, hey, we want you guys to put handcuffs on yourselves and not stay so long. I can tell you right now, if he gets a Democratic Congress, a Democratic House again, I can almost guarantee that he will be impeached. And even if the Senate is still controlled by the Republicans, they will give the song and dance. Oh, well, Yeah, the evidence was just too overwhelming. It was too much. We wanted to side with the president, but we just couldn't turn away. We couldn't turn away and be unfair and be it. We just had to follow the facts, and the facts showed us that we had to remove him from office because they're not going to care. They're 6 terms or 6 years for their term, so it's not going to matter. But that's just my feeling. Anyway, that's all I have for my political thought this morning. Thank you to those who have been listening to my political thought during the week, and of course, the Purple Elephant Show on the weekend. Thank you to those who have been watching. I really appreciate it. ThePurpleElephantShow.com for the main podcasting platform, but of course you can listen on Spotify, Apple, Google Play, and all the others. And you can watch the videos on YouTube and Daily Motion. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and all of that other good stuff. It means a lot to me. Be blessed.